Hi, everyone. Hi there. My name is Sarah Kelly-Palmer.
And I'm Kayla David.
It is nice to see you all again, those of you who have come back from previous weeks. For those of you who this is your first time joining us, Kayla and I work at Family Service of Rhode Island, and we are part of the healing department there. And we are coming together each week here on Facebook in what we're calling the Be Well RI Live information series, where we gather together and we bring experts on to discuss issues that help us and support us during this time of COVID-19. So, do us a favor, feel free to share this event that's going on right now, start a watch party, and help us spread the word so that this can be shared as a resource with family and friends as we all try really hard to stay healthy and well during this time.
Yes, exactly, Sarah. And we come together every week on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. for this discussion. Uh, Before I introduce our guest today, I wanted to give a special shout out or thanks for many of you who were on last week with us. You know that we're going to be talking about distance learning this week. And it's actually Teacher Appreciation Week this week. And I think it's so important that we acknowledge all of the things that our teachers do for us. So, not only did they care for us, did they care for our kids, do they kind of help kind of move our society forward and really kind of spread knowledge and kindness and information. They also do that in the midst of all of the stress that they're dealing with right now. So we know that teachers are still out there caring for our children, trying to kind of help everyone learn, trying to support our families. And they're doing that virtually, and they're doing
Mm.
that in a totally new way that they weren't taught how to do when they were in school to become a teacher. So we know that they're dealing with their own stressors, and yet they come every day and kind of put that aside to be present. And we want to thank each and every one of you for everything that you do. With that being said, today we are pleased to welcome a special guest, Brooke Mccomber. She is the principal at Coventry High School, and she'll be discussing some tips on distance learning and just having a conversation with us about distance learning as we kind of look forward to the rest of the school year. So, welcome, Brooke, and happy Teacher Appreciation Week.
Hi, thanks.
Hi,
And yeah,
Brooke.
happy teacher appreciation to all of our teachers. We have about 150 in our school, so
Yeah.
um, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to see them in person, but.
Oh.
So, Brooke, FSRI and the Coventry community have been working together for a little under a year now on a really special initiative, and I thought I would kind of take a moment to talk about it. And it's an initiative around fostering community resiliency and looking at the impact of adverse childhood experiences, trying to mitigate the impact of those events on our lifelong health, so our social, emotional, and physical health in the Coventry community. And at the center of that initiative is the Coventry School Department. And when we think in the wake of kind of everything that's going on with COVID-19, our schools have had to respond and had to make kind of rapid changes to respond to the needs of the Coventry community, and not just their educational needs of the students, but the social and emotional needs of the family. And that at a time that teachers, just like the rest of us, are struggling with increase in stress, concerns about themselves and their own family, and changes as in their role as educators. So my hope was that you could share a little bit about the idea of the kind of mental health first approach to distance learning and what that means and looks like at your school.
Sure. So we've been, I mean, for years, a few years now, we've been focused on social emotional learning, and we've partnered with you, Kayla, this year on a trauma informed district and school. So when we moved to distance learning, that was definitely in the forefront. And we're experiencing something no one that we haven't experienced before. Families are going through things that they haven't experienced before, and our kids are really, in some cases, struggling. So as we
Mhm.
built a plan for distance learning, we had to keep in mind all of the different situations. So we know that kids come from different home lives and situations on an ordinary day, and then all of those inequities are really seen. We've been seeing them clearly, very clearly now since this started. So one of the first things we wanted to do was make sure that our schedule allowed for some flexibility. So we have set up an asynchronous schedule where kids don't take their classes at certain times. They are given their assignments. They can work on them throughout the day. There are a lot of things that are pre-recorded from teachers that kids can access at any point. We do schedule our teachers for office hours during the day so that if kids do need them, they can jump on. So what we're seeing is some kids right now are actually working. Maybe their parents have been laid off and they are the ones going to work for their families. They've also become caretakers for siblings who are now home. If the parents are working and we have a high school student home, they may be helping to teach their younger sister or brother who might be in elementary school or middle school. They might be doing schoolwork with them and serving as the teacher. So every kid has like a different scenario right now. Some kids didn't have that to get started. Some kids now just, we have a Chromebook in every kid's hand, but, because this happened so quickly, some kids, didn't have a charger with them or Chromebook was broken, all sorts of things. We had the playing field to start, and I think we did a good job with that. We've done a grading system now that is pass fail, a do no harm grading system. We want to take into account
Oh,
the
Brooke.
different home lives that kids, work against them. So we have our support staff, we have our psychologists and social workers reaching out. They send out a form to parents weekly asking, and to kids, do kids need some help? Do they need some counseling? What do they need? What are some of the needs and for the family and for the kids? We have a lunch program here where we've been, able to feed kids. So they drive through lunches. And we also, for the kids who may be home alone, we have some of our deans driving out to houses and dropping off food for them. Like I said, we do home visits. We've asked our teachers to kind of be very mindful of what's going on with kids and to make the lessons, appropriate in length and difficulty. Be mindful of that. We have our teaching assistants, our guidance counselors, case managers. Each week they're parents. So the families are actually looking forward to their call now. A lot of them are saying they're becoming like family members, and so they're able to relay summation to us so that we can pick up a phone and call these people. And we've also set up lots of help for kids, so we're able to from 2 to 4 every day. We offer tutoring and extra help for any student, and that also helps with kids who maybe couldn't get on with a teacher during the day. But later on, they're available and they can access some help. So those are some of the things that we've done to just address the different needs, because everyone is at a different place right now.
Brooke, that's all that you are doing has been so impressive. And when I think about the short amount of time that everybody's had to adjust to this, it really is a testament to, I think, the dedication of your school district to the community. So thank you for all that you're doing. It is really, really impressive that you've taken this approach. So I'm wondering, so we are hearing a lot from parents who I think, kids of course are experiencing a continuum of feelings about this, and whether it's anxiety or kind of that isolation. But I also think parents are really feeling a lot of anxiety and stress around distance learning. We're seeing that come up in our work with parents. And one of the big worries I think we're hearing is parents kind of feeling anxious or stressed out that because of this time in distance learning, their kids are now going to be behind, right? So we're hearing that a lot. What would you say to parents who are having that worry that their kids are going to fall behind because of this different way that we're having to implement school? Any advice for them? Oh, I wonder if we're losing Brooke.
I think we might be losing you, Brooke.
Sarah, I don't know if you can hear me.
Now we can. Yes. Did you hear my question? Oh, I think we have a bad connection. Technology.
Well,
So
Sarah,
go
one of
ahead,
the
Kayla.
things that I think, well, I'm sure we're going to try, I know in behind the scenes, we're trying to get Brooke back on, but I think one of the things that might be helpful to kind of talk about is, and maybe me and you can do this, is to talk about kind of that mental health first approach that we take not only to our students, but how we might be able to incorporate that into our family life and
Yes,
maybe even into the way that we kind of address parents, because we know that our parents and our teachers, we have to put their mental health first too if we're truly going to take a mental health first approach to education.
for sure. And I think that for myself as a parent, right, I've done a lot of reminding myself that, so my son who's in fifth grade, that the thought that he'll be behind has definitely crossed my mind. But, when I start to remind myself that he is not the only one in this situation, right? So if we can normalize for parents that literally every child across the nation is kind of in this same boat. So this idea of falling behind or being behind, well, we want to acknowledge that that's, a real feeling and a real thing that we're kind of all in this together. And I think that message that we keep giving week to week around our kids are looking to us and how we're um, dealing with COVID-19. And I think the same goes for distance learning. So if we're feeling that pressure and stress about them being behind or doing every little assignment the right way, then that stress and pressure can really trickle down to our kids. So I think remembering our role as a parent, while many of us do feel like we have to be teachers now, if we take a step back and really think about it, we are our parents, right? And we're there to support the education process, not kind of take it over. I don't know
Yeah.
if
Well,
that
and I
makes
think
sense.
I think a
Yeah.
lot about um, that when I look back at my childhood, there were so many things that I learned that weren't part of kind of that educational framework, right? And that's where I think parents are teachers in a lot of different ways. In the ways that kids learn, they learn through play, they learn through connection, they learn so much from doing things with us.
Right.
And learn kind of in terms of kind of social emotional like you were speaking about, but there's the opportunity. We learn so much about math when we cook, right? Or
Mhm.
there's so many opportunities where we can learn things and really kind of I think some parents have said to me, like, I just don't feel equipped to do this. And you might not be
Mhm.
equipped to teach math in the way that they're teaching math right now. I'm not
Right.
sure any of us are except for teachers, but I do think you are able to teach your children so much. And if we take that step back, if we slow down and we say, okay, what is it that's important right now? Because I think that that's such an important part of this conversation. At the end of the day, are the work emails important? Is getting every single assignment completed important? Or is what's important what's in front of us, who's in our home, and being together and connected and present? And those worries that come up for us or for our kids, worrying puts us in the past or in the future. It doesn't allow us to be present. So
Present.
finding ways to kind of just take the opportunities that come to really be present with one
Mhm.
another.
And we have a comment in the chat, Kayla, that thank you, Maggie. This technology issue is something that parents and kids are experiencing. So I think we're modeling right now, right? So things come up where you don't have the Zoom link, or you're late to the the lesson, or right now, right? Or we're having technology issues. So I think just taking it, like you're saying, being present in the moment, remaining calm, and just kind of rolling with it, and we can teach our kids those skills, right? It is such a time for so many learning opportunities. So we're grateful for that. And it looks like we might be having Brooke come back on. Can you hear us, Brooke?
Hi guys, I'm back.
Yay!
So
We were just
can
talking
you hear
about
me?
that. Yes, we can hear you. That this is one of the challenges to distance learning is technology, and sometimes there's glitches, and we just have to roll with it.
I know. So you're talking about parents. Can you all hear me?
Mhm.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
You can.
Yes.
Okay. Um, so when you had asked a little bit, I got some of the question, but about what we would say to parents, and what we have been saying to parents is, this is not easy. It's not easy. We realize it's not easy for anyone, and we just want people to just do the best that they can, and to relax, and everything is going to be okay. We're going to get through this, and we want our parents to feel just as supported as our kids, and thankfully, I have to say our parents have been amazing. Like I've never felt as supported in this community I have through this process from parents. But we want them to reach out to us when it's not going well, if they
Mhm.
feel like the work is too much for kids, if it's not enough. Like, so we're in constant contact with them, and so we want to be partners in this. So we just encourage you to stay positive. We're getting towards the end here, but they've been amazing, and they've learned how to do things in such a short period of time. So it has been a true partnership. But just do the best you can, and I think they've been kind of that way with us too, with the teachers. Is they are expecting us to just do the best that we can, and they've been acknowledging the things that we've been doing, and I think we've been acknowledging the good work that they're doing as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we actually had two questions that came in, one last night and one this morning. I know Sarah has one of them. Do you want to go first, Sarah? Because I think it relates to this question. We've gotten a lot of questions from parents just worried about how to do this, right?
Yeah, so a question came in from Melissa, and she was basically describing that the transition for her son has been difficult because usually, I think the time that he would spend, let's say, in math in school is a certain amount of time, but the work that's being assigned and they're trying to do at home, it seems as if he's having to spend a lot more time, and it's kind of going past those school hours. And I think her concern was that his grades would reflect poorly because of that, but that it just seems to be like he he's spending hours and hours doing this work. So, what would you say to that parent, Brooke, to Melissa?
So just like I said,
Yes. Oh, no.
Right when we were going to get the juice.
I think, Kayla, she would probably share that, the best thing that I know I've done with my son's school is kind of communication. So that
Yeah.
communication back to the teacher. Brooke mentioned earlier engaging school social workers or guidance counselors. I think the best message we can give to parents if they feel as if their child is struggling or the work is too much. Hey, Brooke, it's okay. We were just talking about how communication is so important. Oh, we can't hear you. Oh, no. Try it again. Oh, we still can't hear you. So I think the moral of the story is for Melissa, reaching out and opening up that dialogue with the teacher. I think another thing that a friend pointed out to me in the beginning when my son was distance learning was the teachers have never taught this way. So they're assigning this work because they're trying to do what's best for our kids, but they're not on that other end of it as a learner. So they really don't have a touchstone to think about what is the right amount of work, how long is this going to take at home, where it's a very different environment than the classroom. So I think that would be, I'm thinking that's what Brooke might have shared with us, that communication is the most important thing if your child is struggling.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what we tell our kids a lot, but we might not internalize, which is like people can see that you're working really hard. People can see that you're trying. And I think that's what Brooke was
Mhm.
saying with kind of their pass fail grading policy is to say, it is so important that we just acknowledge that people are trying through all of the things that we might be struggling with, the internet connection, the lack of technology, having a lot of people in really small spaces doing lots of different work, that it is so important to just kind of show up and try. And then I think it goes back to parents can contact those teachers and really be kind of teachers are here to help right now. I do a lot of work with teachers, and that's the kind of universal message is they are willing, they want that kind of information. They want you to contact them if you're really struggling. They don't want to make your life harder. They want to try to figure out a way to provide education right now, but they also are really kind of aware that this is a really stressful time and that this is not something that that many of our parents went to school for, right? And that it becomes that we cannot learn and our memories don't store the same way if we're under a tremendous amount of stress. And so kind of that reminder that it's okay to reach out for help. And we actually got another similar question. I have a first grader and someone in pre-K who's 5 years old. What are the best hours for children of this age to do homeschool, and how many hours should I have them work? And she was expressing that it feels like 4 hours might be too long or too much, but I don't want them to fall behind. And I do think that, again, it goes back to that kind of conversation with your teachers or contacting the principal, and knowing that in preschool, that kind of age group, it play and kind of interacting and watching us kind of interact, that we learn so much more from that, from kind of reading a book or kind of connecting with other people, that is so important.
Absolutely, Kayla. We have another comment asking about what resources are available for kids in school who are having stress and anxiety related to distance learning, or just kind of in general. We know a lot of kids out there who might have been struggling even before COVID-19, or now probably even struggling more. But what we're also seeing is kids who weren't experiencing stress or anxiety prior to this really now are, and it's really a new thing for them and their parents. So as Brooke mentioned, reaching out to your school social worker or guidance counselor is helpful. Community agencies like ours, we do have available clinicians who would be able to support parents and children if they're having increased stress or anxiety around distance learning. And there's also a lot of online resources as well. So we can post many of those after we're done with our segment. We will share those with our Facebook community.
Yeah, and I think it's also, our school guidance counselors are still there and working very hard and still available to families. We have social workers that are still available to families at schools. So there is, there's that mentality of it takes a village, and it really, really does. And right now we can feel really isolated in our own little island in our house, but in fact, we are all connected, even if we can't be physically connected. And so really doing that, even if it might feel uncomfortable, maybe you aren't the type of person that might reach out for help, or you feel like I should just be able to do this on my own. Right now is an important time to reach out and kind of connect with other people, get help from people, know that we can't do this all alone, and we can't know everything or know how to respond to everything alone. And that's why it's so important to be kind of taking that community approach and feeling like you can. And if it is that it feels like, for some reason, it doesn't feel good to contact this teacher, contact the principal, contact the social worker, reach out to the people that you feel like you have a connection with at your child's school, because they are there to help.
And I think, Kayla, one of the kind of silver linings in this whole thing related to kind of distance learning and the way that schools have really had to change what they're doing is you're seeing teachers, faculty, administration, and students and their families being so creative and really finding ways to connect with each other and to show their appreciation. So I've seen things like teachers driving by their students' houses, students making cards and letters and sending them back to teachers. There's lots of milestones that many high schoolers, particularly seniors, are missing this year, like prom and graduation. But communities are finding really creative ways to make those seniors feel special. Like, all the signs I'm seeing in seniors' lawn celebrating them and their graduation. So while it's not an ideal situation and there might be stress and loss and grief around those things, I think we're really seeing so many school communities come together and really respond in a way that is comforting and validating and it's just celebrating their students, which is a really nice thing to see.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to also, it's when we are stressed, and Sarah and I think have talked about this on almost every one of these live chats. When we're stressed, we tend to not focus on the positive. We tend to focus
Yeah.
on the things that feel out of our control or the things that we just, that we haven't been able to get to on our to-do list or whatever it is. And it's so important for all of us to look at what have we been able to accomplish in such a short period of time, and what have our communities been able to accomplish, who are the helpers, can we see them, and we can see people doing just extraordinary things every day, little things every day that help kind of make our communities feel connected. And I think it's the same with, we can do for ourselves and our kids of, if you got one assignment done today, like, congratulations, right?
Yeah.
It's so hard right now to get things accomplished and get things done. And I think it's celebrating those wins, celebrating those moments, celebrating those as parents too, and as educators. All of us can tend to get into a thing where we can easily celebrate other people's successes, but have a really hard time giving ourselves those kudos or those pats on the back. And those are that kind of praise or those kind of positive moments help us move forward, help us laugh, help us take a moment to kind of lift the spirits, and that moves us forward as resilient learners, as a resilient community.
Yeah. It makes me think of a meme that I've seen about that a teacher put out there to, parents and students, just basically saying, We will be here in the fall to help, kind of put things back together." So I think remaining hopeful, relying on your school community, your teachers, your administration, and we're all gonna get through this together. So we're so sorry about the technical difficulties. We're so sorry that you didn't hear all the wonderful knowledge and expertise that Brooke has to share. She is a wonderful principal and so dedicated to Coventry High School, and we're so grateful that she did take the time to share with us today, even though we didn't get to hear all the wonderful things she had to say. Thank you to Brooke. Thank
Yes,
you to
thank you.
Coventry, all the wonderful work that you're doing.
And thank you all for tuning in. And we hope that you enjoyed today, even with our difficulties going with the flow. And we are really excited to bring you each and every week topics related to COVID-19. And if there are things that you're interested in talking about or having us cover, please let us know. We have been really excited to be getting kind of questions and emails before the show or during kind of the comments. We want to cover things that are going to be helpful to you. We want to answer the questions that are most helpful to you. So please keep us kind of informed if there's anything you would like us to talk about. And know that we are here if you are struggling, if you just need another person to talk to. We do have clinicians that are here and available to help and take many insurances. So please give our intake department a call for you or your child. And then we're excited. Next week, we're addressing a really important topic and one that we've gotten a lot of information about and people really interested in, which is online safety. Because right now in our lives, we're more digital than we have ever been before. And so we want to really we're bringing on a special guest, Megan Martinez, to talk about kind of online safety and digital citizenship with us next week. So we hope to see you there.
Thank you, everyone.
Be well and be safe.
Be safe. Bye-bye.